Why was Moses speech impaired? And if he was, why did God choose him to speak to Pharaoh rather than Aaron? A good night of Shabbos, my dear friends. This week, we read Parshas VAEIRA. It is Shabbos. Mevorchim. We bless the new month, the month of Shvat. The month of Shvat, of course, is the month where we have the 10th day of Shvat coming up, the day that the Rebbe became the Rebbe and the Yortzeit of the previous Rebbe. So we read in this week's Torah portion how Hashem sends Moses and Aaron to Pharaoh. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to God, I can't. Ani aral sfatayim. My lips are sealed, I cannot talk. And the question is, why? Number one, why did Moshe Rabbeinu, why was his speech impaired? And there is the old argument and discussion, what we read last week, between Moses and Hashem. And Hashem ends up telling Moshe Rabbeinu after he says, I cannot speak, he says, okay, I'm going to send Aaron with you. And he's going to speak to Pharaoh. So if Aaron is going to speak to Pharaoh because he can talk, then what's the point of Moses going there and if he cannot speak? And the Rabbi explains that according to Chassidus, the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu was speech impaired, it was a result of his high spiritual level. He had such a high connection with God, a high nullification to God. When he's connected with God in such a way that he's like speech impaired, he cannot talk because of his self-nullification to God. And this was the reason why God insisted that he goes to Pharaoh. You see, Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid to go to Pharaoh because Pharaoh had the power. When he had the power, means he also had the spiritual power. As the Talmud tells us, Im ra'ita rasha she'hasha'a mesacheket lo al titgare bo. If you see a wicked person that things go well to him, don't start up with him. Because obviously right now, this person has the special power. So that's why an ordinary speech wouldn't do much. What you need is the only power that can overpower Pharaoh, and that is God himself. Moses was in such a level that is totally nullified to God to the point that he cannot speak, that he contained within him the power of God himself because he was nullified to God. That is why you had to have Moses standing there in front of Pharaoh and saying the words of God the way he was able to do, and in the holy language that God allowed him right there to say. He gave him the extra gift to be able to say those words. And you had to have this power of Moses standing that represented the power of God. That was able to break the power of the evil, the power of Pharaoh. And the Rebbe says, this is the message to all of us. You see, the pharaohs, we each have the pharaoh in us that rises up against us and says, I don't want to let the people go and to serve Hashem. I want them to stay in Egypt. I want them to stay in a state of denial of God. And what we are doing, we have to stand up straight. We have to stand up straight and to say to Pharaoh, it's not about explaining. It's about the firm standing like Moses. And we have the ability to do it for two reasons. We have it because there is a little Moses in each and every one of us. And we have it also because the real Moses is in every generation. Every generation, God gives us that man that is a man of God, that is connected with God and has the power to overpower Pharaoh. And in our generation is the Rebbe, the leader of our generation. As the Rebbe says, when we connect to the Rebbe, we follow the instructions, we learn his Torah, we gain the strength from the Rebbe to be able to overcome the biggest, strongest challenges. And doing so, this will bring the coming of Mashiach very soon. Have a wonderful Shabbos.